Mario Bros. Wonder promised to truly reinvent 2D Mario, but did it actually deliver, or were we all just blinded by nostalgia and hype? Today I'm breaking down Mario Bros. Wonder, the good, the bad, and the what in the world just happened moments, to determine if this game was truly a wonder or just wonderfully marketed. With Mario Bros. Wonder being the first new 2D Mario game in over a decade, it definitely struck a huge amount of initial excitement. Nintendo really leaned into this big time gap by really pushing the hype of rebranding it as a reinventing of the franchise. But what are some ways they did this? Mario Bros. Wonder is so visually stunning and fresh compared to the new Super Mario Bros. Series. I personally really love the cartoonish, more artsy style they went for. I feel like it really tied the game together in a way the gameplay itself could not. I mean, what else says effort and new like an entirely new vibrant design? Not only is it vibrant, everything feels so alive, like even the background is living. And it isn't only that the environments feel bolder, the fresh character animations feel bolder and like they are making a statement. Even the power-ups have better and more unique animations, making the game feel so much more exciting and fresh. On the contrary to the amazing visual improvements, I honestly didn't like the style of the Wonder Flower effects. I feel like they really made the game look kinda overwhelming, and I found it to be occasionally confusing. In certain levels, it became hard to tell where you were supposed to go. I do love the whole idea behind having two different versions of the level though, one being the regular version and the other being the Wonder version. But as someone who personally wanted to collect every Wonder Seed, it got kind of annoying finding each Wonder Flower since some are harder to find than others. But with the Wonder Flower being a major way Nintendo leaned into the rebranding of 2D Mario, I know several people who loved that aspect of the game and the twist it added. I just personally didn't. I started to feel like the later you get into the game, the more gimmicky the effects started to feel. But let me know if there are any certain effects that you enjoyed more than others. One of my favorite changes they made to the franchise was allow you to pick your own path. By implementing the required seed numbers on certain levels, it really allowed you to pick your own path. You're able to collect a lot of seeds without finishing levels, even there are some free ones as well as mini challenges. Overall, the Wonder Seeds allowed a lot of redesign to the level system that I really enjoyed. On the other hand, I was pretty disappointed originally to find out there were only 6 main worlds, especially considering there were 8 in several of the past games in the franchise. I thought that the theming in these worlds were fine, but it wasn't anything too special. I liked the Pedal Isles area as it made everything feel more connected though. It was a nice area. I'm not going to really go into detail about the worlds though, since I thought they were pretty much the same feeling as previous games. One thing we should definitely take a look at is the difficulty of Mario Bros. Wonder. It was kinda easy compared to past games. When playing New Super Mario Bros. Wii, I actually found myself struggling quite often, and it took me a long time to play through the game, but when playing Mario Bros. Wonder, I had no issue quickly beating levels and finishing worlds quickly. The difficulty made the game feel like it was slightly more geared towards a younger audience, but on the contrary though, myself and many others found that this made the game more relaxing and less stressful. So there are definitely positives and negatives to the difficulty level. Now let's talk about the power-ups, because this is where Wonder really tries to stand out. With the release of Mario Bros. Wonder, we saw the release of 3 new power-ups. The first one being the elephant power-up, allow you to turn into an elephant. Not only can you use your trunk to break blocks and damage enemies, you could also store water in it. Nintendo uses this as a gimmick where you had to water certain flowers to unlock the Wonder Flower in that level. Also, as a side note, I thought it was interesting that the characters turned into an elephant instead of it just being costumed like the other animal power-ups in past games. I feel like it's just a nice, unique power-up. It's fun to use. Nintendo definitely went full creative mode though with the other 2 power-ups. The second one being the bubble suit. I really like the bubble suit. It's definitely my favorite of the 3 new ones. Being able to blow bubbles to jump on was a fun and unique gimmick, and being able to put enemies in a bubble was very helpful. Unfortunately, I didn't like the third and final power-up, the drill power-up. I found that it was kind of difficult to use and not that helpful. It does help stop enemies from falling in your head and allow you to go under enemies, but overall, I found that the other 2 new power-ups were much more helpful to use. I did notice online though that a lot of people really enjoyed the drill power-up, given that it was very original and unique. I just didn't really like it that much. Of course, we still have the 3 base power-ups being the Fire Flower, Mushroom, and Superstar. They're fine as usual, nothing too crazy. I definitely noticed a lot of different areas where there were superstars, which I thought was great, since it wasn't always used enough in the past games. Along with the new power-ups and returning power-ups, we also saw the release of the badges. With Prince Florian traveling with Mario in Mario Bros. Wonder, it gave us the ability to have a badge system that he wore. There are many different types of badges, and I thought they were cool, but I found them to be very gimmicky. I guess what made them feel gimmicky to me was the fact that the levels had to either force you to use a certain badge, or be fairly easy to beat without one. Some of the levels intended to show off the badge's function for fun, but I found most to just be a boring gimmick. So overall, I just felt like they didn't really care if the badges were in the game or not. Now, the character roster, on the other hand, was phenomenal. I loved how huge the roster was and the variety received. Not only do we get Mario, Luigi, and the Toads, we also got Peach and Daisy as our main characters. On top of getting these new characters, we got the easy mode characters, being Nabbit and the Yoshis. Since Nabbit and the Yoshis don't take damage, they're great for a younger, more casual audience. The only thing I wish had been improved about the characters are allowing the easy characters to transform. I understand Nintendo didn't do this to avoid making them too easy, but it would have been a nice addition. Taking a look at the story mode side of the game, it definitely wasn't anything extraordinary, but it was a nice change of pace for once we weren't just saving Princess Peach. I think it's interesting that Bowser kind of became like this evil castle thing. It was really weird. I felt like when you saw him, it was just like a weird thing that I did not understand at all. But having to go through the worlds to collect the Royal Seeds was a different style than past games, and it made each world feel more important. We weren't just chasing Bowser's siblings through worlds, or Bowser Jr. Overall, I thought it was fine, but it didn't really add a whole lot to the game. The story mode was kind of just meh. Now, co-op, on the other hand, was a huge upgrade from previous games. In previous games, it felt very difficult to play since it was very chaotic and hard to control, but I feel like it is easier to stay by your people you're playing with. For example, in New Super Mario Bros. Wii, I found it difficult to keep your characters closer together, and it was easy to die as a result. Like, I had a lot of issues like going off the edge of the screen and just kind of getting like in a weird spot. But being able to store power-ups to use mid-level was really helpful in co-op, because when someone lost the power-up and everyone else was trying to use theirs, it's kind of annoying. So when you want to get like a power-up from your storage is nice. Overall, co-op was great in this game. Now moving towards the advertising side of Mario Bros. Wonder and how it compares with past games. I found that Nintendo really advertised and pushed the whole concept of reinventing 2D Mario, but honestly, it ultimately felt like a very stretched concept. New Super Mario Bros. Wii was the first video game I ever played, and I absolutely loved it. I love the art style, I love the enemies' reaction to the environment, I love the dance, it was so much personality. And I love the power-ups most of all. I always thought the propeller mushroom and the penguin power were the best power-ups of all time, and I still feel this way. I thought they were so much fun to use. The feeling I always get playing New Super Mario Bros. Wii is just amazing. The sense of curiosity, satisfaction, and definitely some frustration make it so enjoyable. When playing through Mario Bros. Wonder, I often found myself just feeling nothing. I didn't really feel anything for the game. It was a fun experience, but it was not really something I wanted to play again. I also recently played through the New Super Mario Bros. 2 on my 3DS, and really loved it also. It was nothing spectacular, but the platformer just felt tight and good. I honestly felt the same way about both of the 2D Mario games on the NES and the SNES. They set the stage for 2D Mario, and they were just simple, fun, and chaotic. Nothing crazy. Nintendo didn't try and make them overly complicated in the same way that they made New Super Mario Bros. Wii simple. They were just pure fun. Mario Bros. Wonder ended up feeling like an overcomplicated version of 2D Mario. The more I played, the more I realized I wasn't feeling the same spark I got from the older games. The curiosity, the simplicity, the tight platforming, the charm. Wonder has flashes of that magic, but it often buries them under gimmicks and noise. And that's what really shaped my final opinion on the game. So ultimately, was Mario Bros. Wonder that good? I say no, it was fine, but I don't think it was really worth the hype. But let me know what you think in the comments, and please consider leaving a like and subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you next time.